Quando um novo tempo chega, traz com ele um mundo cheio de mudanças e oportunidades. E agora esse mundo de oportunidades está aí para você retomar os negócios, atrair investimentos, exportar seus produtos e conquistar novos clientes. Sabe como levar os seus produtos cada vez mais longe? A Apex-Brasil tem a resposta e tem todo o apoio que a sua empresa precisa para aproveitar as melhores oportunidades do mercado internacional. Acesse o mundo, acesse Apex-Brasil.
Hey guys, how are you doing? Welcome all to another Big Festival edition. This is the Big Festival 2021. It's 100% online from May 3rd to 9th. You can see on the same page, all our speeches, all our lectures have simultaneous translation for English and Portuguese. But in case you want to watch it in another language, just go to nemo.tv/bigfestival and choose your language. So this big festival is even bigger than before. This year we have a lot of fun things, from coupons and giveaways, maybe getting a job from one of the roundtables. So you can access all of that on our website, brazilgamefestival.com.br, and you have a map for the event to follow everything that's going on so you don't get lost in this vast ocean of content. So I'd like you also to participate. So let's pump up the hashtag Big Festival 2021 and jog in a Big Festival, or play at the Big Festival. So we're live on YouTube. Talk to us, interact, add value to our event, because a lot of our lectures also have your participation, are counting on your participation. So submit your comments, your questions. I'm Luis Queiroga, and now I'm going to show you our next panel, the Brazil Games Project, Brazilian Games for the World. This is a project that is a partnership between the Brazilian Game Developers Association, Abragames, with Apex-Brasil, the Brazilian Trade and Investment Promotion Agency. This is an opportunity for you to have your company before the world. So today we're going to talk about the executive manager for the Brazil Games Project, Apex-Brasil, talking about two of many of the international arms that support Brazilian business around the world. First, with the Apex-Brasil office in Moscow and the embassies in Tokyo, the Brazilian embassies in Tokyo and Warsaw, so we can understand a little bit better about the strategy and the organization for Brazil around the world for big events. This panel is going to be led in Portuguese with English simultaneous translation. So let's talk to our guests today. First, Eliana Russi. She's the executive manager of Abragames. Hello, Eliana. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We also have Arsen Sogoyan. He's the project manager for the Eurasia Moscow, Russia office for Apex-Brasil. Good morning, everyone. Carla Frade, she's the manager at Apex-Brasil. Good morning. Guilherme Gondin Paulo, he's the chief of science and technology of the Brazilian Embassy in Tokyo. Hey to all from Tokyo. And we also have Karolina Jędrzejowska. She's a specialist in commercial promotion for the Brazilian Embassy in Warsaw. Hello, good morning, everyone. So welcome, everyone, and you have the floor. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Queiroga, for your introduction. I'm a manager for the export project for Brazil Games. As you managed, it's a partnership that's been going on since 2013 for the Brazilian game developers. And our purpose here, the purpose here of the panel, is to show you a little bit how we articulate internationally to offer to support to our domestic enterprises, and also to the international enterprises who are trying to know more about Brazilian opportunities in the games arena. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for the audience for participating, and all of the associates of the project, and to Big Festival for welcoming us. I'm going to show you some slides. It's something really quick. Let's see if this works. So I think you can see this now. This is our logo, Brazil Games. We've been working on this very successful partnership since 2013, success in entrepreneurship and exports, because this is a global sector that represent opportunities for our companies, for innovation and technology in Brazil, businesses, jobs. And this is what I wanted to highlight for you. This is the reason for our meeting here today and how we work in a network with consulates and embassies of Brazil throughout the world, and with the Apex-Brasil offices in some strategic countries. So we can offer, as I mentioned, to Brazilian companies who want to go international so they can understand better the market, let's say the Eurasia market or Japanese or Russian markets in Warsaw, Poland. We have these different arms to help us, who are also here today to talk a little bit about what they do. Our main objective is to strengthen the Brazilian games industry, achieving increasingly larger shares in the international market. The Abragames lecture before mentioned some numbers, some figures. We still have a lot to grow. It's an extraordinary market. It's grown even more with the pandemic. I think everyone knows that. Everybody has read this all over the news around the world, and video games are very strong now. Another thing that also facilitated all of this is the capacity of the developers in our area to quickly adapt to the remote and online world. So we were able to quickly structure the opportunities and not miss out on opportunities. This is a little bit of our partnership with Apex, as you've also seen in the previous presentation. We grew almost 18 times the export amounts for the Brazilian games industry. This is just a snapshot of the companies who participate in the Brazil Games export project. This is a spontaneous information. It's not an absolute figure. It doesn't reflect Brazil as a whole, but it does show us the indicators and trends. So we are growing. There has been a huge growth. You can see with Apex. We started with Apex in 2013, and in 2014, we started to see the increase in figures and numbers, and in 2018, it was even higher. So, of course, there are many more companies throughout Brazil than the ones who are represented here, but this is a very accurate snapshot of what we can expect from Brazil. So we are good for exports right now. The FX rates are high, and we are achieving market share. This is our objective. I'm going to quickly go over this, but our project is not just for events. This is a project that also wants to build for capacity building, review investment opportunities, prepare specific markets, such as the case of the Asian market, Korea, Japan, China. These are different animals. You can't think that we are going to have a one strategy for all. So this is what we were able to achieve with this partnership with Apex and this participation at Big Festival. We were able to show the world how to look at Brazil once a year during Big Festival, during all of these content sessions, the roundtables. So Brazil has been consolidated as a high-performance development hub. Some years ago, before our partnership and before all of this effort, Brazil did not have this type of visibility. It was seen as a consumer market, and an important consumer market at that. We are the 13th, I think it's even higher, but the 13th market for games consumption around the world. But this was not generating opportunities for the Brazilian companies. What we have truly achieved, and I think this is paramount, is this protagonism, or this main role. We are an important player in Latin America and the Game Festival, where we have this round table, this negotiations round table, and international lectures who are now on the international enterprises calendars. So everything here is valid and a great contributor. These are the companies for the project. And this is this has a great reach for the sector outside of Brazil. There is an innovation cell. We have competitive DNA. These are very quick and quick-witted entrepreneurs, and we see companies from the state of Amazonas and Mato Grosso. So this is really reassuring for those who are working on development projects in Brazil to see all of this reach and to know that wherever we can support companies, these companies will be winning at exports. This is something we have just confirmed. We just confirmed a partnership with Apex-Brasil for another 2 years. So every 2 years, this partnership is renewed. So now it's going to be for the term of 22 and 23. Some are anchor events that take place in the international industry, and we participate with Brazil and with the branding for the country. Today, we call this the buyer project because we invite publishers, investors, buyers, and all of them from abroad to talk about their content so that Brazilian companies know their future partners a little bit better. Some other anchor projects, for example, GDC that used to be in San Francisco, now it's a virtual event, games with Germany, the largest games fair in Europe, and some other events that are now hybrid. They are reinventing themselves. But this is a project that we had been participating in the past years and that had been producing business opportunities. In addition to promotions, we also have structuring projects for commercial intelligence, preparation for companies and attracting international investments, preparation of the companies for virtual reality, preparing companies for the Asian markets. And does this mean just preparing? No, it's just preparing the companies and placing them in a very optimum position to actually become a peer for those who are looking at them. These are some of the opportunities that are activities that we have throughout the year. We always have the segmentation process for the companies to understand movements of these companies, if they went more international, if they have subsidiaries outside of Brazil, if they have supported other companies in games and projects. This is something we do every year. And we usually have target market studies as well to define which markets are going to have more emphasis or for 2013. So we have United States, Canada, Germany, and China, and as secondary targets, the UK, South Korea, Japan, and France. This is just a snapshot for a specific time in place. Of course, we can see countries different. Japan can go up, or some other country might have a reduced importance. So the public and the audience varies according to the movement of these companies. But this is the snapshot that will guide our strategy. This is us, actually. This is, I think, was a trade show in San Francisco, or a game show in San Francisco. There was a mini studio at this event. We had a mini booth. We were able to talk talk directly to publishers, to the press. And although we think everything is going digital, just press a button, publish the game, and everything is ready. But there's a great and very strong human interaction behind all of that. So game on, we still have many, many lectures, and from the May 4th to May 8th. And we also have invitations for these lectures. And we wanted to show the Brazilian companies the best in terms of content, trends, and partners, and show the world what we have. And we also have simultaneous translation, so you can follow everything. This is where I end my presentation, and I'd like to invite Carla Frade for her lecture, for her presentation. This is our co-manager for the Brazil Games project. Carla, the floor is yours.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me to be here. I'm among the best. So I'm going to share you my screen so I can show you a bit about what Apex Brazil has to offer to Brazilians and Brazilian entrepreneurs. So we are the Brazilian Trade and Investment Promotion Agency. We're a private entity. Can you see my screen? So we're a private institution, but we have we're very close with the foreign ministry. There are investors, so to say, so that's why we are the official agency to promote Brazilian trade abroad. So we work on three main pillars. We promote exports, we try to attract investments, we support foreign investors, and we want to make Brazilian companies international, which is basically opening business units abroad. It can be a branch or a plant or anything like that. So to talk about export promotion, which is our strongest area, we have a strong department to qualify international business. I'm not going to go deep into detail because we have a lot of very well structured initiatives, but if you are interested, you can schedule a meeting with me and we'll see what's the most appropriate thing for you. We have very specific profiles. So we have our export qualification program. We also have a competitiveness workshop, passport to the world, and we have some specific programs, such as the export program for e-commerce. During the pandemic, we had a number of challenges so we had to reinvent ourselves. And we started many digital initiatives. We started Apex Cast, webinars, and lives. This might be the most interesting part for gaming companies. PayX, as I said, is our main program. It's a training program for exports. It follows our own methodology. It has won awards, and it's free of charge for entrepreneurs. We work in a partnership with many institutions. So we support companies in person or remotely. And last year, we innovated this technology because it wasn't so well adapted to the services industry. So along with gaming industries, we approved a new methodology. So I think it's very relevant. If you're a gaming studio and you haven't exported your product yet, talk to us and we'll enroll you in this program. In March last year, we had a webinar with, you can see that Arsen is here, and we recently had an Apex Cast episode that discussed this project. As Eliana said, we've been in China. So take a look at our YouTube channel. The webinar and the podcast are both there. On market intelligence, we have a number of studies, we have email alerts, and we have a lot of quantitative information. What I want to highlight here, especially for you in gaming, is that we have a lot of qualitative information for you. The main one are opportunity studies. One of the recent ones we had was for the Chinese game market, and we also put out one for the American gaming industry. So these are free of charge. All you need to do is sign up on our website, and you'll have information on demographics, local preference, some export values. So this is something that we prepared with a lot of care. We worked in a partnership with a very well-established data institution so that you have all the information you need to explore these new markets. Now to talk about business opportunities. We work to put all entrepreneurs face-to-face with potential clients and business partners. This is done directly, but also through projects like Brazil Games. And what are these projects? As Eliana said, we combine specific actions for each 2-year cycle. So we have projects together, buyer projects, a mission, and structuring projects. So we go beyond business opportunities. And Apex also has its own contributions. So this is Eliana, one of the faces of our association. She's talked about Brazil Games in this LinkedIn post. She said everything there is to say, so I won't go into detail, but it's always great to share that we don't only have Brazil Games, but we have 50 different projects that include agribusiness, industry, and services. Brazil Games is one of them. And it started with our software program, which started taking shape, and now it's flying by itself and breaking all sorts of records. But we have many cases of success. If you're interested in learning more, come to our website. And recently, we had an international business round, which was directly executed by Apex-Brasil through partnerships such as with the Inter-American Development Bank. We had gaming companies, over 300,000 US dollars in business and deals closed during the event. So it really brings amazing opportunities for companies who want to be a part of the international market. Our second pillar also works with supporting international investors. So we have our own portal, investinbrazil.com.br. I imagine we have some investors watching. So if you're interested, if you want to invest in the gaming industry in Brazil, talk to us. We can offer personalized consultancies. We have studies on trends, we have partnerships, contact networks, and we have some opportunities for intelligence as well. So this is an invitation for the Brazil Investment Forum at the end of the month, May 31st to June 1st. You can sign up, it's free, it will be online, and any Brazilian entrepreneurs who want to receive investments, contact us. As I've said, we have business rounds. We can support you. We might have contacts who want to invest in gaming, so come and talk to us. And our last area is internationalization. Gaming has many companies that are born global, so we help you with the final push. We have a number of programs. One of them is Start Out, where we select 20 startups to include them in the main innovation ecosystem. So we have activity cycles, consultancies, a visitation agenda, we have seminars, and we have specific post-event support to help companies in their internationalization initiatives. We have startup internationalization missions. They are a partnership with the foreign ministry. So we bring startups to talk in different global events. We try to find partnerships and attract investors. Also to promote Brazil as a hub for innovation. We also have many services for traditional companies. I won't delve into them, but look at our website if you'd like to find out more. We stand out because we really have a network of partnerships, which includes public and private institutions in Brazil. We have partnerships with the National Development Bank. We have strategic connections to companies, and we have an extensive network of our own offices. We have 14, including our headquarters, and we are also integrated with the foreign ministry since we are under them. We have 121 trade commercial posts with SECOM, and we have a network of embassies and all of that. This just gives you an idea of how broad our reach is. In fact, thank you, Cristina Wang, Roberto Garcia, and José Roberto Filho, who really helped us in bringing some international buyers to BIG. Finally, some of our results. In 2020, we supported over 14,000 companies. We supported over $66 billion in exports, which is 1/3 of Brazilian exports, and we received $1.3 billion in investment. What I'm most proud of is that clients of Apex-Brasil export more and suffer less from the effects of the recession. In 2020, if we consider that we export goods, half of companies had a growth in comparison to the previous year. So that's just a general overview. I'm open during business rounds and I can communicate via email. You can send me an email through my personal email or through Apex's general email. Even if you don't know what to do, talk to us and we'll help you figure out. And also, these are our social media, so you can follow us and see what our next events are. Thank you. Oh, excuse me, everyone. I was on mute. Guilherme, will turn it over to you. Okay, thank you, Eliana. Thank you for inviting me to be here. So I'd like to greet our fellow panelists, Carla, Karolina, and everyone else. I'm very happy to be here to talk about a topic that really I enjoy. My name is Guilherme Gondin. I am a diplomat here at the embassy in Japan. I am a gamer since I was a child. So, I came here to explore the world of gaming and support Brazilian institutions. And I was surprised to see that there was no defined strategy on doing that in Japan. So from the moment I came here, we've been creating a strategy to, support the Brazilian gaming industry here in Japan. I don't need to say that Japan, like the US, is a benchmark for electronic gaming. Even with its revenue, Japan is a very important cultural hub. Remember that during the closing ceremony in the Rio Olympics, we had Super Mario in the middle of the stadium. The Japanese gaming market represents $18 billion. It's the third largest in the world after China and the US. So just to give you a comparison, Brazil has about $1.7 billion. So this is almost twice as much in Japan because consumers here are very engaged. They spend much more than other consumers in gaming. In 2017, the average expense was $90 per Japanese citizens, and that's nearly 3 times the global average of $30. And their consoles such as Switch and PlayStation are references. But the market here is more geared towards the mobile industry, which represents $12.4 billion. The second most used platform here are consoles, and this is ruled by Nintendo, which has a 75% share of the market. Then we have PC gaming, which is a medium that is not so explored here for gaming. What's interesting about the Japanese market is that they have a clear preference for local games. They're a bit self-centered in that way. So if you look at mobile gaming, most games are from Japanese companies, Sony, Sunro. And for console gaming, it's the same thing. Bandai, Capcom, Nintendo, the companies we know that really take the greatest share of the market here. It's interesting to look at the Japanese market and local consumers here to see how Brazilian companies can explore this new market. What's interesting is that because of the long working hours in Japan and the long commutes, they usually play games from 7 to 9 on their way to work, at noon when they have a lunch break, and from 7 to 9 in the evening when they're on their way back home. Because of the limitations of using, using cell phones in crowded trains, most games are vertical, and they need to be simple so that you can play with only one hand. Another interesting fact is that we usually relate Japan to that image of being traditional, with geishas and samurais, but they really like kawaii culture. Cute characters who are very lovable, strong, bright colors. So it's not only about the aesthetics, but it also brings other elements, innocence, joviality. So you can see that usually Japanese games have lighter themes. The main genre are still JRPGs, Japanese RPGs, which represent 45% of the market, like Final Fantasy. Action and adventure games like Zelda and Metal Gear Solid represent 15%, platform games like Super Mario 13%, and shooting games 5%. Western RPGs like Skyrim only represent about 9% of the Japanese market, and the main topics here are high fantasy characters, like with knights and princesses. Traditional Japanese characters like samurais are not so relevant here because they have that idea of escaping through gaming. They really appreciate the gacha model, the free games where you can spend to try to get items randomly. The main Japanese games use that sort of mechanism. And although they're seen negatively in many places, seen as gambling, they expect these mechanisms here in Japan, to collect items. There are some points that connect them to the Brazilian market, connect the Brazilian to the Japanese market, especially that preference for mobile gaming. In Brazil, most gamers also use the gaming model. And Brazilian and Japanese consumers are more engaged by mobile gaming. They spend more time and resources there.
And also, according to the Newzoo consultancy, the Brazilian consumers also value the competitive aspects of the games and the evolution of the characters. And these two elements can be found on RPG games, for example. So these are elements that want to level up. When they want to level up, they are more interested. And another interesting thing, and that's very expressive in the Japanese market, is that this is considered a very difficult market to approach due to the strong competition with local developers, the language, and these barriers. But in the last few years, we've seen studios from China and other countries that are gaining market share in Japan. And they have something diverse, something that the market here doesn't have. This is a differential. And what's interesting is that, for example, for the Irish company for the Escapes game, and above all, the Netist Chinese company that brought the first battle royale here in Japan, that's very successful. And actually, the Japanese industry is a little bit tied to their mechanics and genres and games with very little interest of innovation. The games that really dominate the mobile market today were from 2015. Monster Strike is #1 with $800 million from 2013, and the Puzzle Dragon from 2012. So how long do these games, can these games actually hold the interest from the consumers? And how the embassy wants to work from now on is based on a 3-point strategy to help disseminate the Brazilian industry here, to increase their knowledge about the ability and the level of development of the Brazilian industry. So this is going to be work with publishings, articles, videos for the Japanese market, and also visits to local publishers. But also we want to organize in the second half of the year an event with specialists from Brazil and Japan. It's going to be open for developers in Brazil and Japan to present the details of this market with publishers, experts, localization professionals. And we're going to do this through Abragames. And also support to all companies here who want to know more about the Japanese market. My office has open doors, and we want to support Brazil's actions and Brazilian companies in Tokyo, Brazil, Tokyo Game Show. It's one of the main references for any gaming related topic here. Brazil has already participated in back in 2019 and will now participate again. So these are my remarks. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm open for questions. Thank you. All right, so let's invite Arsen now. And I was just told that we only have 11 minutes left. I apologize. We're going to have to rush a little bit. Go ahead, Arsen. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to be very brief here. It's a huge pleasure for me to be here and say hello to all of you from Moscow and Russia, where I am at the Apex-Brasil office here. I am at the lead for the efforts to promote the industry and services for Brazilian products. And I want to talk to you a little bit about my experience in the gaming industry. And I want to highlight a project that was a model project for all of the promotion efforts we've employed here, including all kinds of industries and economy sectors. In 2019, I learned that Apex Brazil was promoting the gaming industry, supporting the industry actively, and I wanted to bring a representative Russian delegation to the brilliant event that is Big Festival. And back in 2019, it was still in person. And through our networking, we were able to bring the greatest player from our market, Mail.ru, which is a great digital conglomerate working from food deliveries, taxi services, and gaming, from this giant with revenues of 38% of all of the Mail.ru. So I was able to bring the investing arm, the funding arm of this great company called Mail.ru Games Ventures. They have a different name now, but they are still working on looking for the studios with rising profits in a predefined pace, providing an investment opportunity and bringing in more profits for the whole Mail.ru group. Together with me, we had representatives from the VK Games platform. If you don't know them, VK is a large Russian social networking platform in Eastern Europe with more than 100 million users every day. So it's a huge gap that we have here for people who speak Russian. Both of these companies had really different demands. And here the success factor was our partnership with Abragames, because in a matter of days, we were able to offer companies a list of studios and companies following their own personal demands where they could choose their matches. And during the Big Festival 2019, we were able to have meetings with representatives from the largest Brazilian studios, around 7 or 8 companies, and also be present in the Big Festival negotiation roundtables. This is a big success for us because at the end of the day, there was an investment that I cannot talk about the details from the Mail.ru, but it was a success. And I've always wanted to work in the reciprocal promotion, or in other words, bringing Brazilian companies to Russian event here in our region. So in that sense, the highlight is the White Nights Festival that happens when 3 editions during the year. And obviously, it was online in 2020, and in October, we were able to bring a delegation from Abragames with 5 companies who could participate in all of these roundtables and talk during the event. I am always available here to facilitate contacts here in Russia for you. I'm always learning with Abragames and with you. So I am here and I'm available. Thank you very much. Thank you, Arsen, so much. Karolina, go ahead. It was our time was incorrect. You can take your time. We have until 12:25 and then we'll go to Q&A. Great, thank you, Eliana. Thank you everyone for your lectures, for your presentations. It's an honor for me to be a part here of this panel. I am Karolina, and I'm representing in the Embassy of Brazil in Warsaw, Poland. And according to Guilherme's presentation, you know that the CCOM's job is to support companies trying to increase investment in businesses, in our case, between Poland and Brazil. And we also work with the technological and creative sectors. Our cooperation with Brazil Games, which I can also already say that it's a success case, hasn't been finalized. And I actually hope it's just the beginning of it. And just to talk a little bit about our project, we have divided our process in 4 steps. And let me share my screen with you to explain it a little bit better. The first step of the development is the initiative. Our initiative came about the innovation, the Diplomacy and Innovation Program. And this is a program that seeks to show a modern and innovative Brazil in the sectors of science and technology. While we were developing our activities within this program of diplomacy and innovation, we came into the electronic games. As you all know, the gaming industry in Poland is very strong, but at the same time, there are Polish and Brazilian companies that are very dynamic. So we decided to explore the cooperation in this area. And imagine that all of you here at Big Festival, you might know some Polish studios, some famous Polish gaming studios, some games that were launched in Poland. So just to mention some basic data here. Currently, there are around 440 development studios in Poland that launch around 480 new releases every year. Most of them are small and medium companies, but we also have some AAA studios. The gaming industry is made up by 16 million gamers. This is half of the Polish population. And this is estimated around $600 million. But up to 97% of all spending from Polish gamers are for foreign games. And according to recent data, as Eliana also mentioned, the pandemic has also contributed to an increased interest on gaming and sports, above all here in Poland. And looking at the games market, the gaming market here in Poland and Brazil, they're different. Polish is a good market for PCs, while Brazil is a good market for mobile and online games. Both of these markets are large markets in their respective regions, however, and we also believe that these differences can complement each other and open up cooperation opportunities. In this context, at CCOM, we had the idea to increase mutual knowledge, to actually raise awareness for gamers on both industries. The second step, which is essential for developing these projects, are partnerships, and contacts. This also reflects one of our main tasks for our CCOM, which is to bring together entities, people, and companies. For electronic games, thanks to Apex-Brasil, who's an essential partner for the CCOMs and support all of these commercial activities, we came to Abragames, who welcomed us and included Poland as one of the markets for the Brazilian project and markets. Next, we had established partnerships with the Indie Games Poland Foundation, gathering small and medium electronic games developers. for us, the Indie Games Poland was an essential partner on the Polish side to enrich the project with deep knowledge of the local market and industry. So we had both of these entities in context to establish a partnership for the project. And with these meetings, we were able to focus on Big Festival, considering it the best platform for the bringing together of the Polish and Brazilian gaming sector. And so this is a very smooth transition to the third step of the project.
Since we defined that our goal was to foster information exchange on both sides between Poland and Brazil, we invited the Polish group to be a part of the event to learn about the Brazilian industry, and we'd also like to invite the Brazilian and international audience to learn more about the Polish industry. So for the second part, Abragames invited representatives from the Polish industry for a panel dedicated to Poland. And that's how we started this panel called Poland, the Challenge of the New Powerhouse in Gaming. So I'd like to invite all of you for this panel, which will be on May 6th at 2 p.m. Brazil time or 7 in the evening in Central European time. Thanks to the participation of two great specialists, we have André Faré and Jakub Marcelkowics from the Indie Games Poland Foundation. So we'll talk about what this industry represents and if Poland can be a good starting point for the European Union to become more international. So we're going to be Brazil Game Plan, which will be represented by André, is a great example of success because they are the first Brazilian company in gaming to invest in Poland. Game Plan, with the support of the European Office of Apex-Brasil, has made a presence in Poland. They have an office open here, and they've started great partnerships with universities, with other companies, with the government, and they're also working in getting financial support through an incentive program here in Poland. So from what I know, they have had a very positive experience in Poland and its business environment. So enjoy this panel, meet André, and ask him any questions you may have. So coming back to our project. Another element that happens also in Big Festival are B2B meetings, which is supported by the Begins Poland Foundation. It's very similar to the project that Arsen mentioned in Russia. Many Polish companies were interested in the publication and distribution of Brazilian games subscribe to the B2B program. We have a program that is still ahead of us, which is to assess our results and plan for the future. We're only going to assess the results from the event after the event finishes, right, in the middle and long term. We're certain that the project will be positive and we want to continue it in other events, whether they are online and hopefully also in person, in Poland and in Brazil. Finally, I'd just like to underscore that SECOM is always open to support Brazilian studios in whatever they need. So this is our email address, our Facebook and LinkedIn profiles. Feel free to contact us, and thank you. Thank you, Karolina. Thank you, everyone. We have 6 minutes for questions and answers. I didn't leave my contact information, but you can talk to us at contato@abragames.org. So I'll pass this on to everyone after we finish. We got some questions about the Japanese market, and I think Guilherme might answer them. One of them asks, does Japan consume more local games because of patriotism, or is it simply because these games are more compatible to their culture? It's very hard to know. I've read about it, and I know that it has a cultural factor, and this is reflected not only in gaming, but usually the Japanese like their own products, right? Products made in Japan first. But of course, there's also a long history. The Japanese gaming industry is very traditional, and it was a benchmark not only for Japan, but for the entire world. And they continue to be a benchmark. It's interesting to see, for example, the cell phone market. First and second generation phones in Japan are far more advanced. So while we were still playing, the Snake game in Brazil, they had games with colors, and it's interesting to see how they are ahead of us. But I don't think that that's a roadblock to our presence. Little by little, some studios are reaching this market. So I do think that there is a space for Brazilian studios. Thank you. We have a question for Japan, but that can also be answered by Karolina or any of the other embassies. If Brazilian embassies have bonds with other companies for internship or for jobs, I'm not sure. I'll let you answer. So for example, studios that want to have, exchange programs for internships in Japan or in Poland, and if they can also receive foreign developers. Well, the simple answer is that yes, our work is to, establish a bridge to other countries in whatever is possible. So the embassy intermediates between Brazilian programs and local programs. So at the moment, we are having an event planned by a Polish association, which will be an online recruitment program. So they're going to be talking specifically to potential international job applicants. So if you're interested, contact us. We still don't have all the details figured out. We don't have a date, but as soon as we do, we're going to communicate. But as I said, SICOM is here to be that bridge. So if you have any questions, we'll try to answer them for you and connect you to other players. Thank you. Well, everyone, we're coming to the end of our presentation here. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to all the different SICOMs, the embassies, Carla from Apex-Brasil. Just to underscore, we work as a network, so it's great to have this communication with you. Apex is under the Foreign Ministry, so we have a lot of contact with everyone. And everything that's been said is very relevant for Brazilian entrepreneurs who want to go into any markets. The front door can always be Abragames and the Brazil Games project. But if you're starting, through an embassy or an Apex office, you'll eventually get through. For international investors who have been listening to us in English, I'll tell you that we always have a diplomat or a specialist in commercial production in the Brazilian embassies to tell you about the first steps about coming to Brazil. It might seem complex, but it's a growing market and it should be considered by everyone. So thank you. Carla, would you like to wrap up? Well, I'll reinforce what Eliana said and say that we are here to welcome you with open arms, with Apex, with um, the different embassies. We have many ways of supporting you, so we're here to serve. And we hope that we can have a lot of business here at this event and many other events. Thank you. We're still going to have many talks today. We're going to have 2 talks with Japanese companies. Sega is going to give a talk, Magros as well. So we'll hear about the investors market, how you can prepare your company to receive investment funds coming to Brazil. So everything we've said about getting strategically aligned for the next years is included in our agenda. We're going to have 104 sessions over 5 days. So stick around. We have large-scale partners, Xbox, Nintendo, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Americans, the French, the Canadians. So watch our sessions, get ready for the next rounds, and good luck. I hope that this is a great event for everyone. Thank you. Have a good day or a good evening if you're in Europe or Asia. All right, good night, everyone. It was a pleasure to be with you. And Big has been incredible so far. Share our link and stick around because there's still a lot to come. We'll start our next session at 12:30. See you soon.